David here with Figboot on Pens, back again with another fountain pen review. Today I have for you a pen from a brand I had yet to review on this channel, and that is Pininfarina. And the pen I'll be showing you today is one which was released a while back called the PF2. What I am going to do today is go over the parts and features of this sleekly designed pen, talk about what I care for and what I don't care for about it. I'll show some measurements, size comparisons, and provide a writing sample. Thanks go out to the good folks at Kenro, who are the U.S. distributors for Pininfarina, as well as a number of other brands, for providing this pen for review. Actually, pens. I have a very unique ballpoint and pencil combo pen that I'll show off during the writing sample as well from Pininfarina. The pen arrives in this box. If you are not familiar with the company Pininfarina, it is an Italian car designer. Over the years, they have designed cars and partnered with automobile manufacturers such as Ferrari and Alfa Romeo, BMW, Fiat, Maserati, and many others as well. The company is named for its founder, Battista Farina, whose nickname was Pinin, which means smallest or youngest in Italian. So that's how they ended up being called Pininfarina. Inside the box, we have a couple of things. There is a QR code to learn more about the company. There are 2 warnings in multiple languages to not swallow anything, so I guess that they really wanted to make sure you don't swallow this pen. And then we have a use and care guide. And then we have the unique actual box. It's metal and kind of reminds me of like the shape of a glasses case. You actually open it by popping off only one of the ends here, and then the pen drops out. And this is the Pininfarina PF2. The pen is made from metal. It's made from metal with an exterior that looks to me like it's been anodized. As you can see, this model here is blue, but it's also available in black as well. Let's take a look at the parts and features of this unique pen. The top of the cap is chiseled and slightly inset. I believe that's to hide an aspect of the clip, which we'll talk about here in a second, which is quite possibly the most useless clip I've ever seen on a pen. Now, it looks very cool. It has the company name, and it is very thin. It actually lays inside a wide groove here on the cap, so it essentially lies flat. The end of the clip on the top of the cap is slightly raised, which I feel is why it was inset a bit. And in order to operate this clip, you actually press down on the end and it hinges up. Now, I do find it virtually impossible to operate the clip one-handed. I mean, I really can't even do that. If you try to do that, then this chiseled end just forces the pen up. You really have to use your other hand to prevent that from happening. But now that you're in this position, I'm not quite sure how you're supposed to really get it into a pocket or a sleeve. If you do manage to get it inside something, the hinge spring tension is on the weak side. And as you can see, there's no bottom edge or protrusion on this clip, so it can really slip out easily from anything that you have it clipped into. Also, the clip will only come in contact with the material at one single point, which leaves the clip angled up when it's in use. I feel that this is a good example of form over function. It looks fantastic, but in my opinion, it fails in regard to a number of performance aspects. And it's just incredibly awkward to use. There's just really not an ergonomic way that I've really determined in order to engage the clip in any useful way. It just feels really unnatural. Okay, enough ranting about a clip. The cap angles up until you reach the angled transition to the barrel, which is smooth. The barrel is straight for about 2 inches before it tapers down to the end, where it is again chiseled. The cap is magnetized. While it's not an overly strong magnet, I don't feel it's at risk of unintentionally disengaging, especially since there's nothing on the exterior of this cap or body for it to get caught on, unless you're attempting to utilize the clip. I will say something that annoyed me slightly is that when you remove the cap, I find myself naturally doing so with the clip facing up, but when you do it in that orientation, the nib is upside down. So you need to initially turn the pen over in order to use it. I guess you could remember to remove the cap with the clip facing down, but again, that just feels unnatural. Once you remove this cap, you are presented with a nice number 6 stainless steel nib. The nib is stamped with the Pininfarina company logo. If you recall, the last name of the founder is Farina, so that's why the logo is an F. This nib is available in either extra fine, fine, medium, or broad. This particular pen is fitted with a broad nib that I really find to be extremely smooth and has a really wet and juicy ink flow. And here's a look at the plastic feed. The section begins with a chrome-plated band. This is a rather unique section. It angles up slightly, but at the end you have an angled transition to the remainder of the barrel. I do find the anodized metal enables you to maintain a solid grip on this section. I don't find it to be slippery at all. The pen is well balanced in the hand and it's long enough to use unposted. The cap does post, but I can't say that it does so very securely. It doesn't take much to disengage it. Also, if you should post this pen, you need to pay attention to the orientation of the cap. If you should post it clip side down, the extended wedge here for me hits the inside of my palm and it is rather sharp. So it's not very comfortable. And when it rubs up against your hand, it easily disengages the cap. So while I don't feel the cap backweights the pen or throws off the balance, I prefer to use this pen unposted. This is a cartridge converter pen. When you twist off the section, seeing this wedge spin around is a unique visual element that I care for. The pen accepts standard international cartridges, one of which is included with the pen, and a converter is provided as well. With this pen being made from metal, eyedropping would not be recommended. The Pininfarina PF Two is available from a number of different retailers and sells for around $225. I've seen it a bit higher on some sites and a bit lower on others, so it might help to shop around a bit. That's a fairly reasonable price for the performance that you'll receive with this pen. While I feel the overall looks are really sleek, the lines on this pen are beautiful, there's just a few design aspects which I detailed, which makes me kind of scratch my head a little bit. Okay, now it is time for some measurements, size comparisons, and a writing sample. Here we go with some size comparisons for the Pininfarina PF Two. Normally I would have things going this way, but then it's upside down as far as the writing. So let's make it go this way. But in regard to the size comparisons, I thought I'd compare it to some other metal pens, which I care for. And this is a Lamy Studio in the brushed stainless. And then here is a Pilot Vanishing Point. And then here is a Diplomat Elox Matrix. And in regard to a few other metal pens, here it is with a Visconti Opera Metal Speedboat. Here it is with a Lamy 2000 in stainless steel. And then finally here it is with a Mont Blanc Starwalker, and this is in the Ultra Black. In regard to some uncapped comparisons, here's what it looks like with the Diplomat and the Visconti Opera Metal Speedboat and the Lamy 2000. Before we start with the writing sample, I mentioned that I had another unique pen from Pininfarina, which is the Modula. And this is a very unique offering. You pull it out here, and it is a combination pencil as well as a roller ball. What happens is you take off the end here, and this has one of those forever pencils so that we can just right here Modula, M-O-D. And it's one of those tips that will just last forever and will write similar to a pencil. But then if you would like to use this as a ballpoint, then you take off the second piece. And if you take off the second piece, then you can use this as a ballpoint. So we have the Modula, and this is the ballpoint. I just thought that was an interesting design for a pen. And it takes a little bit of getting used to. I've tried to take off this third one, and the third one is how you actually access the the replacement cartridge. And so you got to remember it's either 1 or 2 there, but it's an interesting offering. Okay, back to the pen at hand. This is the Pininfarina. And this is the PF Two. And this is a broad stainless steel nib. And since this was a car manufacturer, I thought I would use an ink that is associated with a company that they have partnered with, which would be Montblanc, BMW Blue. This is what the ink looks like. This was an ink that I don't believe was available through retailers. You actually had to get it through the official BMW store, but it is the official BMW blue color. This is what it looks like in comparison to Kobe number 17, as well as Robert Oster's Carolina Blue, which is a little bit darker. And Carolina Blue is available through Jonathan Brooks' website. This is what the small bottle looks like. I believe it was only available in these small bottles, but that is what the bottle looks like for Montblanc. And here we go with the rest of the writing sample. This broad nib is very, very smooth. This is one of those nibs that as soon as you start writing with it, you're not going to get a lot of line variation out of it. But as soon as you write with it, you're like, oh man, that's interesting. The ink flow is very generous on this one. In regard to reverse writing, it is a little bit scratchy, but it does lay down a nice solid medium line. And then in regard to some fast writing, the feed keeps up just fine. So here we have the Pininfarina PF Two. It does have some quirks, things about the clip and a couple other things about it. But as far as looks, I think it's a very sharp looking pen. And the broad nib on this performs it outstanding. So I have a feeling you're going to be seeing this pen in ink reviews and other things when I need to demonstrate a broad nib because it was very nice on this particular pen. Until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you later.